This is Make Money Count, brought to you by Cannect Home Financing. Joined this afternoon by founder of Cannect, Marcus Zafaris. He is an economist with a background in investment banking. He began brokering mortgages about 20 years ago, and he has grown Cannect into Canada's top independent mortgage brokerage. Also with a decade in customer service sales in various fields, the principal broker of Cannect, Justin Turner, joining us now. Justin managing a team of account managers to provide the industry-leading consumer service that Cannect is known for, and Matthew Scanlon's customer service representative with Cannect, specializing in finding low-cost solutions to get clients out of debt and back on track with their credit report. Gentlemen, welcome into the show.
How's it going, Ian?
Thanks for having us.
It's going really, really well. One of the things that impresses me about what we do here and just doing the show with you guys, there's a real reward in the feedback we get from the viewers, the listeners who catch the show, and it can be life-changing as far as their world of finance is concerned, because so many of them that we've talked to in the past discover they are paying thousands more than they needed to be, and just simply by making that phone call, a lot of things change really quickly for them.
You know, I'll tell you, it's the most rewarding thing that we've got going on here. And it's also why we have such great people, I think, working at Cannect. Is it's so easy to make a difference in this space where people aren't getting the information that they should be getting. There's no one spot that people can turn to right now for uniformed, unbiased advice. And they're certainly not getting it from their banks. So you get a kind of immediate payoff when you're speaking to people. And I think it's really helpful for us here, for everyone here. It kind of helps everybody kind of keep going on long days. And we definitely realize the difference we're making in a lot of the people that we deal with's lives. Yeah. So it's great.
Now, I know one of the frustrating things that we've covered in past programs is the belief out there, and it's an unquestioned belief, unfortunately, from listeners, from viewers who suggest that, you know, if they're dealing with the bank, it's probably as good as it gets. It's a big bank. It's a big institution. Whatever they say I'm going to do, they say jump. I'm not even going to ask how high. I'll just keep jumping. And as they're jumping, you can hear the change falling out of their pockets.
Yeah, I mean, the banks aren't all bad. They're just like 99.9% bad. You need somebody to help you working when you're dealing with these guys, and I think that that's a real important role that we serve here. Hey, Justin,
100%. Yeah, I mean, again, having someone in your corner, like I said last week, is the main goal for us. And we were talking earlier about, you know, keeping us going, or Marcus was mentioning what keeps us going through the day. You know, a lot of what we do is a multiple step process, right? Like, you know, you may come to us with, you know, bruised credit, in between jobs, whatever the case may be, and watching people kind of go from that position that they were in. And this isn't everybody, but there is a good chunk of our clients that you know, they come to us because they're in a situation, or they need something fixed, and watching them go from that beginning stage into you know, being, you know, back to being bankable is very rewarding. It's amazing feeling. So
I'll just share a story. You know, I had some personal friends. They knew that I was working here for the company and reached out to me, and it was like, what solutions are there possible here? She had lost her job. She was doing beauty facials. Lost her job through COVID. He was a DJ, lost his job through COVID. They had racked up significant debt on credit cards, and then came to me at the beginning of the year, where, you know, we sat down. They sat down with the team, and the team gave them this idea of like, well, what money is coming in right now, and she had put a lot of her business online, and she wanted to expand that business. So how does she do that? Well, what we did was we take this, you know, the equity in their home. There's lots of it. She has a mortgage, but they're also getting now $60,000 in credit card debt. How do they get out of that debt? And how do they expand the business while having all that debt? So Cannect lends them $100,000 against the home, where they then, pay off the debt on their credit cards, and the $40,000 goes into her business, which is now being sold online. 6 months later, we're able to refinance them for an even lower rate mortgage than they had, paying back that full $100,000 because she used the $40,000 to invest into her business. She had now making more money than she had ever imagined through this online business. And all of that was possible by just reaching out and what is possible in us coming up with this game plan and being like, if you're serious and you think this business can work, let's see some numbers behind it. It works. Okay, let's help you invest in it. Okay, let's help you pay back that loan. This is a multiple step process that takes months of making sure that person stays in good credit, making sure that person has their payments, so that way at the end of that term, they're in a much better position to be able to get them into even lower cost financing.
Matthew, one of the great things about doing a show like this on the weekend is that people can actually take a second, take a breath, and and look at their finances, see where they're at. You just spent Monday to Friday working your backside off, and all of a sudden, it's Saturday, and you realize that you don't have nearly as much money as you deserve to have. What I took from your story is something I hear a lot, and that is there's a lot of people out there assume they know answers to questions that they never bother asking. So, they'll sit there and they'll go, oh, I can't make it work, or oh, I've got 60 grand in debt. They're not going to want to talk to me. Or, there's just so many different areas where if they would just pick up the phone and ask the questions, the results could be pretty phenomenal.
You're right, and I think it's there's a few rules that once you understand it, you understand that the fat cats, they do this all the time. The lowest cost debt is always going to be tied to property or land, and so being able to secure that debt to property in order, again, instead of credit cards or any other an unsecured line of credit. That secured debt is going to get you into a better place than racking up your credit card bills. And, once you understand that concept, you're going to want to borrow on your credit cards, crank up your credit limits, and then pay off those credit limits against your secured financing multiple times throughout your life once you understand this, so that you're coming back to us time and time again to get this done time and time again and make sure that you're in a better position. I mean, just trying to maintain $60,000 of debt at 20% a year, just maintaining that is it's a hard job, just maintaining it. Think about that.
Marcus, I've mentioned before that one of the drawbacks Canadians have in the world of finance is, the fact that we are Canadians. We tend to not ask for what we believe we deserve. We tend not to push as hard as we should when it comes to making a deal that we would benefit from. And especially with what people have been over for the past year and a half, there's a lot of people entered into the COVID era with perfect, absolutely spotless credit histories, and through no fault of their own, they've been put through the ringer. And I would bet that there's a lot of people right now, going by just exactly what we were talking about, who are sitting there going, you know what, my credit's probably really been hammered. I doubt that anything is going to happen anyway, so I'm not even going to try.
Yeah, the entire success of Cannect is predicated upon our ability to help people that are kind of on the fringe and help them get back to the lowest available cost of capital. The thing that we're most proud of is our ability to use the capital that we've got from our investors. And I'll explain to you a little bit about how Cannect works, but we can use the capital that we've accumulated from our investor pool to service borrowers that we feel are underserved by the existing mortgage landscape. So typically it's one of three types of deficiencies. It's someone's got a deficiency in their income, so they've lost their job or they're not making enough to meet the obligation that their bank requires. Or their credit is deficient because they've gone to their bank or their credit card companies and they've taken on too much debt and their credit score has dropped or their property is deficient. So either the timeline to close a piece of real estate, or maybe a bridge between selling a piece of real estate and buying another piece of real estate, or maybe it's a commercial property, and the commercial property, because of COVID, the rent roll or the amount of lease income that's coming in has dropped, so it doesn't meet the debt servicing obligations of a bank. Something's deficient. And what we are extremely good at is figuring out ways to use the capital that we've accumulated from our investors to repair that, and then to bring those borrowers back to lower cost capital. And the most elegant thing that we can do is, when we bring that borrower to lower cost capital, show them a way to use this asset now and this new loan to take some of that capital and invest it with us. And it creates this beautiful circle. And that is really the thing that I'm most proud of in how we've created this business. We do not pay anyone to bring us investors. So any other mortgage investment fund similar to the one that we have goes out and pays investment advisors to bring in investor capital. And that would cost them between 2 and 4%. We don't pay that. We deal directly with our investors. If you find us over the radio, over the internet, on our new TV show, we're happy, and we want you to be a part of the Cannect family, and we want to use your capital to help create not just better borrowers with lower cost capital, but more investors. Obviously, that has to meet certain regulations with the OSC on eligibility and accreditation of investor, and we're very careful with those things. We've got an exempt market dealer license, and we want to make sure that it's the right fit for everyone. But really, like, the elegance in the solution that we're offering is it's just, we did a little bit of the groundwork early on, right? We built the relationships that we needed to build with our investors directly and our borrowers directly. We built a technology that connects everybody, and all that groundwork, we're seeing the fruits of that labor now.
Gentlemen, for somebody who is just finding this show, they're watching it, they're listening to it, and they're thinking, this really could help me, but I'm not quite sure how yet. What do you do, and how do you help people? Why should they pick up the phone and give you a call, I guess, is the question I'm asking.
So, I mean, listen, when we get a call from a client, just like you said earlier, they don't know what questions they need to be asking, right? So, we are their filter to the lender, and so we just kind of intake all the information. We figure out exactly what it is that they should be asking, and then we ask the questions for them, right? Just sitting down with somebody or jumping on a phone call, we can pick out more information than they think that they need to give up, right? Just so that we can figure out exactly what place to put them in. And listen, Matt is the best with this. Like, I hear Matt on the phone, and he is just connecting with people and making sure that they're comfortable and fishing out all the information that they need so that he can really put something together that's tailor-made for each client that he speaks to. So
I think it comes down to, again, we spoke about this at the start. People are so underserved right now, whether it's on the investment side or on the lending side. And it is very rare that whomever you either hold your investments with or your debt with are unbiased in the way they're communicating with you. Cannect is really simple, right? All we're trying to do is serve a borrower by providing them with a way to reduce their cost of capital. We won't do a deal. Like, if you call us and there isn't a way for us to reduce your cost of capital, we will tell you that there is not a deal that we can do together, right? We'll advise you as to why, and we'll explain to you maybe when we can do a deal with you. But the person you're speaking to on the phone isn't making a commission to do a deal with you. They're being paid a salary to explain what the landscape looks like and what we could do in the future and maybe why we can't do a deal for you. It's the same thing on the investor side. Like, Cannect as a pool of investor capital, I'm confident that there are many, many people out there that would be really well served by investing in a company like Cannect. right? We return an 8% rate of return to our investors historically over the last almost 10 years on a monthly dividend basis. And we invest in, Canadian mortgages that we are determining to be of good value for good borrowers that we know we're helping to exit. Never had a loss in our portfolio. I know the strength of each part of our business. I know because I've spent 20 years building it. I've spent the last 10 working on just the technology that we operate off of with, various APIs and data point connectivity that help us to use algorithms and artificial intelligence on the back end, like all kinds of really, really interesting things. But it all comes down to this. There's no way that we would have been able to grow and build a company like this without two very important things. Number one, if the environment that we were in wasn't so deficient and void of a company like ours. And number two, if we didn't have the support of both the investors that we work with and the borrowers that we work with. Both are equally important. And that's why, if you're listening to this show or you're watching it now on our new TV show, and you have a sneaking suspicion that maybe the money that you have invested isn't doing everything it should for you, or maybe the mortgage that you have isn't optimized, you shouldn't be embarrassed about either calling whoever you're dealing with or calling us. And it's not about the dollar amount. I mean, Cannect, we're so confident in what we're doing. We're a small company, but we're so confident in what we're doing. We will take in an investment as low as, I think it's $2,000. $2,500. Fine. Well, you know what? From now on, it's $2,000.
$2,000.
But really, we're so confident in what we're doing that it's not about the dollar amount. It's about introducing more people to a different way of doing things. And we don't have a massive marketing budget, which is why this is why you watch the founder of the company doing a radio show and a TV show and in the commercials, and why we all pitch in wherever we can to get the word out, because it's the most efficient, the most effective way to communicate to you, our prospective borrowers and investors. So when you ask who would be well served, who should call in, I would argue that the majority of people that are being served right now by either a bank or a mutual fund company or an investment advisor or a second mortgage lender, if you've got debt or you have assets, Cannect is a free phone call to figure out how and if you might need or want to optimize either of those things. And long term, as you move forward, the sooner you do it, the better off you're going to be.
Matthew, I'm curious because you are probably one of the first contacts people get when they call Cannect. And when you're speaking with them, what Marcus was just talking about, I think there's a third part to that, and it's an important role that Cannect plays. If I'm buying a car, for example, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm going to ask Uncle Charlie to show up with me because he knows all about buying a car and he knows where to kick the tires. If I'm going to buy real estate, I have friends that know about real estate. It all goes to hell when we talk about finances because not everyone has someone who is schooled in that world to help them out. And I think the larger institutions really benefit from this. Because they know that I'm on my own here. I'm really at their mercy. Whereas, the one thing that people have told me who've called Cannect is that there's a really, really personal level that's almost immediately established.
Well, like me and you get along because we're both producers. I think that I know you have another guy at the desk there, but you're a radio guy. I'm a podcast guy. I joined this team as a podcaster. It was the message that made me want to join the team full time. And that's, I have this conversation with friends. I have it with family. Some of them are pretty skeptical because, they've heard me talk about Bitcoin for years and they hear me getting involved in another thing and they go, and then the message here though is completely different. There's no scam. There's no, telemarketing, you're calling us. You know, you're hearing this show, you're giving us a call, we're having a chat. And then we're going down the rabbit hole together and we're finding out where we can find low cost capital for you. A lot of people just don't know how to have that conversation, where to start the conversation. It starts right here with us on this show, listening to us have this conversation with you. There's a lot of uneducated. I was uneducated. I'm still uneducated. The stuff that I'm learning every day on the show, producing the show is, you know, what keeps me going every day, coming back in here. How am I going to apply it to these customers and the clients that call in? It really is. Like, every deal doesn't work out, but the ones that do, the ones where you're helping people and it puts them into a better position, it really helps you sleep better at night.
Justin, can you just walk us through what happens? Someone out there listening, watching, picks up the phone, they call Cannect, 416-766-2666. You obviously are in a position where you would walk the person through, for whatever reason, take their hand and walk them through. Because as we've just said, you know, if I'm calling, I only know one thing. I need some financial help, and you guys are at the other end of the phone.
Yeah. So generally my first question to a client is, why don't you tell me a little bit about what you're looking to do? And that usually gets them talking a little bit. You know, they usually have a main motivation to call, whether that be, you know, my mortgage is coming up for renewal. I need a better rate than what my bank is offering me. I have some debt and I want to pay it out. I'm looking to increase my net worth, you know, so on and so forth. So after kind of getting that information from them and understanding a little bit about what they're looking for, you know, I can then kind of put together an application that makes the most sense for them. You know, whether that be, again, you know, getting them a better rate, wrapping up all their debts, whatever. You know, we have a lot of options to us in terms of, you know, lender, you know, investment type, whatever. You know, if you go to your bank, you're fitting into a small box, right? I hear clients tell me all the time, my bank said no. Or the worst one yet is my bank said yes, and then when it was time to pull the trigger, they said no, right? And which is really unfortunate. And so, you know, just kind of figuring out which box they fit into, you know, is exciting for me. But like I said, it all starts with a chat. You know, I don't know how many clients I've gone to get a cappuccino with or an espresso with and sit down and relax. I still have clients that I've worked with, you know, my first year here that call me up and you know, we get together and whatever. It's great to build a relationship like that with a client and to see them through and to figure out what exactly they need for their lives.
I'm Ian Brandt. I'm joined by CSR specialist Matthew Scanlon, principal broker Justin Turner, founder and CEO of Cannect, Marcus Zafaris. Marcus, I was wondering during the break, you know, I mean, because obviously you had an idea, you started the company, it's obviously grown. I would have to guess a lot faster than you thought it might. What are you most proud of when you unlock the office in the morning and you walk in and you look around? What makes you feel really good?
I kind of thought it would grow faster.
He also doesn't unlock the office in the morning.
Take it easy, Justin. Okay, I'll tell you. There's no one else that does what we do that focuses on what in the business we call it the exit. And I talked a little bit about like the elegance of a business model. You could do anything to make money. Like you could create a lot of different businesses to make money, but creating an elegant business is difficult. And what we've done is we've created a motivational alignment between ourselves and our borrowers, because we both want the same thing. We want to lend a borrower an amount of money and we want to help them pay it back. We want to help them pay it back with lower cost capital. When you do that, you're in the rowboat together. Like there's so many analogies I could use, but when I talk to my investors sometimes I say, listen, we have this big bag of money that you've trusted us with, Mr. and Mrs. Investor. We take this money and we provide it to borrowers who we know we can fix something with. We talked about this earlier, income, credit, or real estate. Once we fixed it, our entire focus is on the exit. It's on helping that borrower get to lower cost capital. When we do that, that journey of taking them from, oh my God, I just called my bank and they won't do what I've thought they were going to do. And why aren't they? We can take them from that point to fixing whatever's deficient and getting them a new product from a bank or a mortgage finance company at a really low interest rate. And we accomplish so many things. We repay the money that we need to our investors and we reuse it again to help somebody else. And we set out on a new course, this borrower who was being underserved to begin with. In this marketplace, there are two main operators. There are the guys and gals who are out there doing loans just to get a return and to get that return for as long as they possibly can. So they'll give you a 5-year loan at 10% without any concern for how does someone pay back 10% interest over 5 years? It's just like unfathomable. Cannect doesn't do 5-year loans. Cannect lends money on this home equity loan side. We lend money for up to 12 months. That's it. We identify people we can help within a 12-month period of time, hopefully shorter. We lend them the money that they need. Usually it will cost between 4 and 10% interest. We get them the money that we need. We show them the way to exit. We show them the way to pay us back. That's the difference. We aren't concerned with having a borrower for an extended period of time and just leaning on the equity in their home. It is not our business. Our business is to identify borrowers we can help, and that is it. Focus on the exit strategy, not on the equity. Help borrowers get to lower cost capital. There's so many operators. The other type of operator out there is just the operator that's saying, hey, look at us. We have the lowest interest rate on the mortgage. And I'll tell you something. Cannect does so many mortgages now every single year. There's no way anyone's going to beat us on a mortgage rate. We have the lowest interest rates on an A mortgage. So if you're sitting at home and you're saying to yourself, I'm shopping for a mortgage and my bank offered me 1.79 and I see online I can get 1.78, go to Cannect's website. I'm sure it's 1.76 because the volume of mortgages that we do on an annual basis would prevent any lender from giving us anything less than the absolute lowest rate that's available. But although we'll be able to do it for you, and although we probably do hundreds of millions of dollars of those types of loans, the thing that we are most interested in is the exit. The thing that we're most intrigued by, the thing that helps everybody here get up and come to the office in the morning is getting a phone call from somebody who says, I went to my bank and I thought I was going to get approved and I needed an extra 50,000 and I'm down on my luck, or I lost my job, or my credit sucks, or my property needs windows, or my furnace broke. Getting that money into the hands of the person who's been told no, and then helping them get to lower cost capital. It's so much more fulfilling. It's so much more elegant. So Cannect, what's the main difference? We focus on the borrower and how to get the borrower to the lowest cost capital. Now, today, but forever. Once you're our client, it doesn't stop, right? The wheels keep spinning. This technology that I'm talking about is fully operational from the moment you become a client until forever. So any day that a mortgage interest rate changes that you may qualify for, a computer algorithm is scanning through our entire client database to inform every single borrower that there is an opportunity to save money. You're never going to get that from a bank. You will never get that because the motivational alignment between you and the person you are borrowing money from is obtuse. At Cannect, we're together. We want to make sure that you are an ambassador of Cannect. So you call us one time, and Justin's talking about people want to keep going for coffees with him. That's the key. I'll let you in on something, Ian. We do a barbecue every single year. We didn't do it because of COVID this last year, but we do a barbecue in my backyard every single year. It's for a charity for my nephew, but all the funds go to the charity. But we do it for all of our investors, all of our borrowers, and it's at my house in my backyard. I get clowns and magicians and oysters and all kinds of cool stuff. But that's the type of company Cannect is. It recognizes that it's built on its borrowers and its investors. It recognizes the importance of that. And I think that the more we get out there and talk about it, I think that the better off we're going to be, the better off our borrowers, our investors are going to be.
But your clients are also talking about it. You want to talk about ambassadors. One of the best tests of ambassadors are looking up the reviews on the internet. Because believe me, nobody holds back when they're going on about what they like or dislike. Connect sitting with a 4.8 as far as Google reviews are concerned. I'm just scrolling down there now. And it's I can see why people want to go for a coffee or whatever with you guys, because we're just so happy. Great working with you guys. We had a great experience. Just comment after comment after comment. Those are the best ambassadors because this stuff is from the heart. This is someone who is truly happy with the service they got, and they want to tell the world about it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, most of those are from my mom. But but you're right. Listen, it's when you pick a whole bunch of really great people to work together, like we've done here, which we've been so fortunate to have, money isn't going to turn their crank. What's going to turn their crank, what affects good people are other good people. So it's a great payback, right? Like, we're probably not the most profitable mortgage brokerage or the most profitable mortgage lender, but I'll tell you something, we're having a lot of fun doing what we're doing, and no one's starving, and we're helping a lot of people every single day, and we're going to keep doing it.
Gentlemen, we have been getting some emails in over the course of the show, and I thought maybe we'd take some time and go through them.
Absolutely.
You know why it's a good idea? Because people are probably watching or listening to the show, and they're sitting at home and they're like, could I really do something about this? And I can tell you something. It's proven by every single person we help every single time. It's like a 5-minute phone call. 5-minute phone call. And at the end of the phone call, you're going to feel relieved. You're going to have more options. You're going to have more information. And you're going to be set on a path to doing something and getting yourself in a stronger, better position. It happens every single time. So these emails, that's why they're so great for highlighting things, because nobody wants to make that phone call. It's kind of a scary thing. But these are the people that have made emails, that have made phone calls that we've helped, we're going to help.
Absolutely. So we got one here. This is Brenda from Toronto. So I've always have News Talk 1010 playing in the background in my house, and I heard Marcus,
not you, right, Justin?
Marcus, on the radio mentioning that you have low rates for private mortgages. So I'm hoping you can help me out here. I'm currently unemployed and my finances have taken a beating. Currently, I am looking for a job, but haven't been able to find anything great. I have about $75,000 in debts between credit cards and lines of credit, because that's basically how I've been living for the past few months. I'm tapped out now and hoping to use some of my equity to pay everything down and keep me afloat for the few more months while I find employment. Hope that someone from your team can reach out ASAP. Thank you.
I mean, so first off, like, what a horrible spot. $75,000 worth of unsecured debt. Unsecured debt is not cheap. If it's just a line of credit, then maybe it's costing 10%. And if it's a credit card, it's probably at 20.
Probably a combination.
Yeah. So, 20 points on 75 grand is $15,000 a year. That's a lot of money for anybody, let alone somebody that doesn't have a job. So understand that all of that unsecured debt, all it's doing is reducing your credit score, increasing your anxiety. You're not thinking straight. I've been there. I was there. When I got out of university, I had a whole bunch of debt, and my mom helped me, but I can tell you, I wasn't thinking clearly. So in a situation like that, you've got to use the equity that you've got built up to solve that first and most immediate problem, which is just this massive amount of interest that you're paying. And you cannot feel as though it's sustainable, and you can't feel as though you can just ignore it. You've got to do something about it. The whole business of unsecured debt is built on you not doing anything about it. So don't feel bad. Like, the credit card companies, the banks that issue the line of credit to you, they want you to think that it's okay to be holding all that debt. But deep down inside, it's not.
Okay, so let me ask you here, Justin. With Brenda, we gave her a call, right?
No, we have not yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we know the balance of her mortgage?
I don't yet. No.
Okay. But the idea here would be what we do. What would be the next step here?
I mean, the next step would be, getting her, because she currently, Brenda's not working, right? So we would be giving her some private funds to pay out those debts and potentially some money to survive on for the next couple months. Like she said, she's just in between jobs and looking for some employment. At the point that she gets employment, like a big piece of misinformation among a lot of clients that I speak with, and again, it's not their fault, of course, but is that the credit score takes forever to fix, right? Which is not the case.
Yeah, good
I mean,
point.
in most cases, we can fix someone's credit in a month or two, depending on where it's at, right?
When I talked, the clients that I talked about earlier today in today's show, her credit score jumped up 150 points and his jumped up 190 in 6 months.
Yeah, see? So this is something that for Brenda, if she's been surviving on debt, no doubt it's taken a hit on her credit score. Giving her some cash to pay out the debt, bringing her cost of capital down from 10 to 20% to whatever, $599, $499, whatever the case may be for her situation, and giving her some money to survive on, fix her debt, and then refinance it. That would be the goal. Getting her back to a bank, getting her back to somewhere where she can make a payment that's not, silly. I can't imagine how much she's paying for $75,000 in debt.
There's just too many people that have built up so much equity in their houses that don't even realize it because they're just so focused on how much unsecured debt they've piled up. And you got to understand that equity that you've built up in your home is your solution. It's your way out of the whole thing. And if you find the right partner to work with, Cannect is a great example of this. All we're looking to do is help you get that unsecured debt paid off using the equity that you have in your house and finding you the final exit that we're talking about that gets that unsecured debt, which has been converted into a home equity loan, paid off, gets the first mortgage paid off into a new first mortgage at a much lower interest rate, at a much lower payment. We help you on that journey. Like that's the whole idea here. So there's way too many people. Like we talk about this all the time, but the macroeconomic effects, I'm talking like an economist, but really just the big things, the big chunky things that have happened in the Canadian economy lately, right? The stress test being introduced, where if you had a mortgage for $500,000 and you made $120,000, you may barely qualify for that mortgage now because of the stress test being introduced. Or COVID. If you made $120,000 operating your own business and it was a restaurant, you may not make anything right now. Those are really big macroeconomic events that happen in the Canadian economy. These have happened to a lot of people. And what did those people do in the meantime? They relied on advice from the wrong entities, the wrong businesses. They relied on advice from banks and credit card companies. And guess what? They're in it to make money. So they piled on unsecured debt. That unsecured debt affected credit scores. It affected their ability to borrow more. Cannect is here to help you get that stuff off of your credit report, boost your credit score. It's really not a complicated process. You get that stuff off of your credit report. The less unsecured debt that you have, the higher your credit score is going to go up. And then by the time you find a job and you have income, Cannect is there to coach you on how many other options you have other than just the one bank that you thought you could go to in the first place. So there's so many of us out there. And I say this because I didn't have a house at the time, right? Like I got out of university, I had a whole whack of debt. I went to go work at Scotia Capital, one of the banks. And I had to pay back my signing bonus and I had credit card debt. And I had anxiety and I was stressed. So I know what it's like to be in this situation. I mean, I funded this business when I was first starting and there were sleepless nights about it. It's anxiety. You don't think clearly. So don't think you're alone. Like everyone's been through it. And then eventually you forget about it. And your debt service ratios are great and you're not paying much to service your debt anymore. And you can start worrying about other things.
One of the issues, though, and we started the show talking about that, are people who are watching or listening who assume they know answers to questions that they don't even know how to ask. There's somebody out there right now with a cable bill sitting on the table that they're not going to open because they figure, I'm not going to open it. I can't afford to pay it anyway. Therefore, I'm not going to deal with it. And there's someone else who does open that cable bill, and they'll spend 25 minutes going through it to try and save themselves $2.35. And that's the person that hasn't picked up the phone yet and called and literally possibly set themselves up to save thousands a year on their mortgage.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of avoidance, right? Like, it's such a big, scary thing. It's so, like, debt is something that you can feel that it's so insurmountable from time to time. And the unfortunate thing is that psychological response just feeds into the profitability of the people that are providing you with the debt. So I can't reinforce this enough. Like, you call a company like Cannect, you get some unbiased advice as to how to handle things, and you get on track. And the sooner you do it, like, each day costs you money, right? Like, we talk about like $1,000 a year is $3 a day. So the sooner we can get you back on track, the better off you're going to feel, not just financially, but psychologically.